This is the country of Norway. Norway is an intriguing country that has served as a model for how a socialist-capitalist mixed economy might operate. The country is among the top in terms of GDP per capita, trailing only Switzerland and a small group of micronations. The country boasts a substantial trade surplus, one of the world's highest life expectancies, a highly educated population with the highest percentage of university graduates, an extremely low unemployment rate, and the reputation for making doing business easy. Even more astounding is the fact that Norway has done so while also being one of the most economically equal countries in the world. After taxes, a single individual in Norway's lowest 20% earns barely a fifth of what those in the top 20% do. Even though this appears to be unfair, the average income of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development's top 5 earners is 10 times that of the poorest fifth, making the fourfold disparity between the two groups remarkably equal. When it comes to working conditions, the good news keeps coming. Because Norway has very strong worker rights, social issues such as individuals doing second jobs to support themselves or working extremely long hours are rather unusual. According to the OECD Better Living Index, just 3% of employees work extremely long hours, which is much less than OECD average of 11% or the American average of 33%. All of this helps to explain why Norwegians are among the happiest people in the world, despite spending half of the year like this. Hello and welcome to Economic News. Please like the video and subscribe with all notifications turned on by ringing the bell icon so that you can stay up to date with future videos. Now, let us get back to the video. So, what exactly is the mystery? Why haven't other countries enacted equivalent economic policies to Norway's, which should be the model that most citizens want to emulate in their own countries? Is this country just a lucky anomaly, or may other economies throughout the world replicate its success? In truth, Norway has not always been as prosperous. This image depicts Norway in the 1960s. Its economy was dependent on fishing, and its GDP was equivalent to that of third world countries like Bangladesh or Nigeria. To be fair, Norway's population was and still significantly smaller than that of these other countries, and ordinary Norwegians enjoyed a level of living equivalent to their European counterparts in Greece and Spain. But in the 1960s, Norway was still a long way from being the economic powerhouse that it is today. Nevertheless, things began to change in May 1963 when the Norwegian government asserted its sovereign rights over the natural riches of the North Sea. This was effectively the government stating that this ocean is ours and that any oil discovered there is likewise ours. However, when Norway attempted to nationalize in the 1960s, it did not have the same amount of freedom as other nations since it was a NATO member. Yet, 6 years later, in 1969, a ship called Ocean Viking discovered oil in the North Sea. As a result, oil output in the region increased dramatically, reaching 1.6 million barrels per day. As a result, in the middle of the 1970s, Norway produced more oil per capita than any other country in the world, and it still does so today, behind only Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. I get what you're thinking, but this isn't the story of some other country that got instantly affluent due to its oil deposits, with everyone living like a freshly signed football star. In reality, the Norwegian government was extremely cautious with the funds it got from these restricted resources, not getting enamored with the oil wealth it had discovered. The oil boom in the 1970s increased Norway's economy by more than 5 times, from $12 billion to $65 billion. Yet, Statoil, a publicly owned and run organization, rather than a private enterprise like Shell, Exxon, or BP, was earning this massive wealth. This meant that instead of private investors, the government would get the revenues from the sale of oil and natural gas. This resulted in the Norwegian government being enormously affluent, allowing them to easily embark on a public spending spree to build luxury cities and public infrastructure, while simultaneously decreasing taxes, as many other countries have done in a similar circumstance. In the near run, this method would have resulted in cheaper taxes and an improvement in quality of life, making it extremely popular among the general public. Nevertheless, this did not occur, and Norway's income and corporate taxes remain among the highest in the world. Thankfully for Norway, the authorities recognize that the country's oil wealth will ultimately deplete and that its people would be dissatisfied if they had to return to fishing in a few generations. As a result, the government invested the monies in a sovereign wealth fund, a very large piggy bank. In fact, it has surpassed China's state investment business to become the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, which is remarkable given that China's population is 270 times that of Norway. Because they originally owned the oil and other natural resources, Norwegian people should get the revenues from their sale, and they should also benefit from the money. As a result, every man, woman, and child in Norway has almost $200,000 invested in a vast hedge fund. Regrettably, these people no longer have access to this money to spend on super yachts or gold-plated Lamborghinis. The Norwegian government is unable to access the funds. Only the proceeds from these investments are used to fund activities such as education, shops to describe highly skilled personnel, a good welfare system, public infrastructure, and of course, reinvestment in the fund itself. In 2017, the fund generated an incredible $131 billion from its investments. This fund's portfolio of shares, bonds, cash, and commodities is diverse, but what it does not invest in is far more fascinating. To oversee investment decisions, the Norwegian government formed an ethical council, and it has barred investing in industries such as tobacco, weapons manufacture, and enterprises that have badly affected the environment or abused employees' rights and labor standards. Furthermore, the fund is restricted from investing in fossil energy companies in an effort to diversify its financing sources. Maybe most intriguingly, there is one country on the planet where investment is completely outlawed. You've probably figured out which one it is by now. Norway is accurate, of course. This signifies that this fund's investments are entirely in foreign securities and commodities. Notwithstanding Norway's strong political effect on international enterprises, this suggests that the fund's performance is independent of the Norwegian economy. This fund was a fantastic example of forethought on the part of the Norwegian government, and it basically makes Norway the equivalent of the individual who wins the lotto but keeps his day job and invests his riches in a national stock portfolio. They will be safe and secure for future generations, even if it is not as hip and attention-grabbing as squandering it all on flashy displays of wealth. To end, it is only acceptable to look at some of Norway's economic issues. The first is that its cost of living remains much greater than its average wage. Because of the extraordinarily high taxes, the average Norwegian worker earns just around $3,200 per month, although this is much greater than the monthly average in the United States of $2,732. It does not stretch as far because Norway is an expensive country. A lunch in a mid-range restaurant in America normally costs $50 for two persons without beverages. In Norway, you can expect to spend roughly $92. A monthly utility bill for gas, electricity, water, and trash in the United States is expected to cost roughly $130. In Norway, it costs $176. A new very basic family car, such as a base model VW Golf, may be purchased in America for around $20,000. However, the identical vehicle would cost $36,473 in Norway, which is especially humorous given how near the vehicle's production site is. The majority of Norwegians, however, think that they are willing to accept these high taxes and extremely high living costs in exchange for not having to worry about suffering serious financial trouble. Nobody in Norway needs to worry about incurring massive debt to fund their education, and they are not terrified of losing their houses if they lose their jobs or go bankrupt due to medical concerns. Is the Norwegian economy truly ideal? Should it be what each treasurer hangs a poster from above their bed to look at night? No, not at all. We are all huge supporters of planned social democratic economic systems, and Norway is an excellent example of such a system. Although Norway has done everything perfectly with the opportunities that have been offered to them, they have been extremely lucky, and it would be absurd to believe that any other country could attain the same success by just copying and pasting Norway's current economic policies. Yet, if you find yourself in charge of a country that has discovered oil riches or is undergoing another economic boom, Norway should be your first port of call. Thank you for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below if you would like to live in Norway, and if not, explain why. Also, please do check out our other videos on our channel. You might like something you would want to watch. Take care now and see you in the next video.